looking at the draws of the US Open. It could be difficult for young stars in this direction, especially when they're meeting many superstars in that. Man, quickly in the world of cricket, we see that the female yellow-green, they're anticipating World Cup qualifiers final squad. So I'll come to you. When you talk about World Cup qualifiers, it's always going to be something very difficult because you'll be competing against the best in Africa, most likely seeing the likes of Kenya and Zimbabwe, who are a little bit ahead of the Nigerian contingents in this one now. Possibilities of them qualifying, preparations are top here.
Well, I think the possibilities at the moment are still, of course, expectations are quite low. I will be very realistic at the moment. Yes, I know the progression we've actually seen from the female, yellow-greens of Nigeria have been so progression in the last 2-3 years. But then one will also look at the quality of, those players, quality of the opponents they will be facing. This is a very, very crucial stage in the various nations' lives as regards qualification too. Okay. And I think, as a matter of fact, the female yellow-greens have got a whole lot of experience. But I wouldn't really want to, of course, take my hopes quite high. Though I'm quite optimistic about them getting a few victories at the qualifier stage. But qualifying for the World Cup looks quite slim at the moment. But it has some more experience for them at the moment, looking at the very fact that they'll be facing the best of the best on the continent of Africa. So I'm just wishing them all the best, and I'm looking forward to how they can actually progress of the coaches of this particular side. So it has to the experience they've actually got in recent times, and it will make a whole lot of sense to look at how far they go at the qualifier stage.
To look at how far they go at a qualifier stage, and most importantly, what about the traction that comes with the possibilities of qualifying for the biggest of tournament, talking about the World Cup in that direction. 15-player squad for the 2026 ICC Women's T20 World Cup qualifiers. It will be one that a female yellow-green would really be anticipating. Well, funny thing, I have to come to you on this one because different possibilities for different people. It has to do with the National Youth Games that we're looking forward to. Recently, we saw the South-South qualifiers that took place in Akwa Ibom State, where team Akwa Ibom Edo and the rest of them also qualify. We're going to talk about it, especially from the world of cricket and the rest of athletics that taking place. What we do is, and probably if you'll join us to give us details of that, because the likes of Ifeok had some students that also went to participate in that game, so we'll talk about it. But we hear Lagos States are ready to host 2026 National Youth Games. Well, possibilities in this one, as the Director General of Lagos State Sports Commission, Lekong Fatudo, has reaffirmed the state's readiness to host the 10th edition of the National Youth Games in 2026. Well, not so surprising, because most often than not we see the likes of Delta hosting national games, and which other state in particular, and now the Center of Excellence ready for it.
Well, Delta already scheduled to host the very next one we're having, so Lagos are bidding to host the one in 2026. I think it's quite a good progression for Lagos State now. They have the facilities for me. Mobilize Johnson Arena, one of those very renowned places. The National Stadium in Surulere also undergoing renovation at the moment as we speak. So I think it's quite great. I'm yet to find out about that. I think these are the commissions, these are the organizations, the board we need to have to promote sport development in Akwa Ibom, because if you have a board like this,
isn't that where the FA board is?
Wow, that's
yes,
they don't call it the FA.
The Football Association board, yeah.
Well, this is a sports commission, so I think that's why they have the the time, the resources to make beats like this, to make preparation to host competitions like this. Because
Akwa Ibom can host it. Akwa Ibom hosts a few tournaments also in that regard, so not really out of it.
The Goswell Akwa Ibom Stadium, maybe the Yo Township Stadium. How many stadiums do we have in Akwa Ibom?
I think it's not really a case of the stadiums now, because if you look at the National Youth Games or even the National Sports Festival, it's all encompassing of different sports.
Yeah.
We do not have those facilities at the moment. Yes, the stadium of
Goswell we do not have it.
Yeah, we do not have it. We do not have those facilities. Swimming, rather long jump. Talk about other sports.
Maybe talk about
judo.
Maybe
talk about table tennis.
Maybe the only one
basketball.
I might look at it. Swimming, basketball. Come on, there's a facility.
Table tennis, long tennis.
All of those are here. Come on.
Well,
all of those are here. You go to West Sitam, one of those centers. Yes, it is. It is. All the trainings and all the team Akwa Ibom, the having that training there.
It's also showing at the National Sports Festival, the National Youth Games we go. How many of course medals do we win?
Athletes in those games?
We don't win as much as possible. In as much as I agree with you to a large extent, we have some of those facilities here, but it's not enough. That's why we're seeing Akwa Ibom team not doing well when we go to, of course, this national youth games. They're not doing well. We have to be realistic.
Well, I wouldn't have to agree with this guy.
Look at it now. Let's be realistic. Yeah? I mean, Delta, talk about Team Lagos,
Bayelsa.
talk about Bayelsa. Those are top teams. When it has to do with national youth games, you won't see Akwa Ibom in the top 10. Most times.
Well, the other argument in terms of it isn't just about being in the top 10, because sometimes you get to see some players or athletes that were training in Akwa Ibom. Delta brought money and they changed gear and go compete for Delta, compete for.
That means we're not doing enough. Enough has to be done.
Sometimes, in terms of winning, the title isn't just about the facilities and athlete. It's also like who's spending the most money in it at the end of it.
Akwa Ibom has money.
Yeah, I agree.
So why not invest in it?
Maybe taking it seriously.
I would also bring this because I think if you have the facilities, you breed a numerous athletes. If we have a lot of basketball court, not just in one particular place, how many people can access that one basketball court we have? How many people can access that particular facility? Recently, we were talking about Team Delta opening camp with over 600 athletes.
Yeah.
Akwa Ibom will not even have
all of them training, and then they will also have a screening at the end of
it. I think here's the point, because I wouldn't want to imagine that some of these places you mentioned have facilities more than Akwa Ibom, coupled with the fact that the biggest stadium is in the States.
It's not a click.
It's not about the stadium. Hold on.
It's not about the stadium.
No, you cannot say it's not about the stadium because it starts from the stadium. When you have the track and field,
let's be realistic.
At the stadium,
let's look at
do they have a better track and field than what is in Akwa Ibom?
Gladden, let's look at it from this perspective. Yeah, we have the best track and field. Yeah. All the stadiums, not like those states do not have stadium. They're not up to standard as much as possible, but they still utilize it and make sure they make the best out of it.
Yeah, utility. That's where I'm going to.
So
that's where I'm going to.
It's not of having a big stadium.
No, it's not in terms of.
You have to be coordinated.
That's why I went there, because you guys were talking about facilities.
Because
and
it all boils down
in Nigeria, if you want to talk about facilities, somehow you have to put Akwa Ibom high up there against the best.
That's football.
No, not
football. We have
it's
football.
Let me explain it so you understand.
It's
not football.
No, let's look at it now. Let's look at it. Just recently, was it 2 years ago, we went for the commissioning of that cricket, team cricket competition where we had so many young stars. Before then, how many crickets, terrain did we have in the state?
The
one at the secondary school right here. How many do we have? How often do we have those kids do better?
Well, come on.
How often do we utilize?
Hold on.
No, let's look at it.
If you even want to talk about cricket, let me help the conversation.
I'm going somewhere
because
now.
If you want to talk about the number of Akwa Ibomites that are into it, and they all train at home.
I'm going somewhere.
They didn't train in Lagos.
Most times when we talk about having this
Akwa Ibom has the finest.
When we talk about having these facilities, we have some individuals who are locally helping some of those players even stand out.
That is where I'm going to.
Now you look at
that's why I'm taking the conversation.
You look at other states now, coordinated, just like we talked about, 600 athletes. It has never happened in Akwa Ibom before.
You were saying what I was saying, because
when you have so many stadiums, big stadium, all of these, those stadiums will not play for themselves.
Exactly. That's the conversation. You see where I was going to, because it's an easy conversation when you look at it and say, oh, facilities, and I'm looking at it. If you look at Akwa Ibom State, the best of the facilities in this country,
we can have the best, but we're not utilizing it.
But the problem is organization. The problem is bringing fun. When you mention Delta State, for example, you hear, for example, Favor Ofili, she trained in Akwa Ibom, but can't represent Akwa Ibom because where the money speaks, she goes there.
She's not even from Akwa Ibom.
She doesn't have to. There are many athletes that are training in Akwa Ibom because of a facility in Akwa Ibom.
It is a clear case of priority.
Absolutely.
Akwa Ibom State in general are not coordinated in terms of all the sports.
Absolutely.
We prioritize football.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
As well. That's why we have a lot of athletes.
Absolutely. But we're doing a bit. Akwa Ibom is doing quite good in golf. Trust me. Not golf. In come on, even golf we'll have a bit. But the question is, how many young stars are being nurtured in that? It's quite difficult. I wanted to say cricket, not golf.
Okay.
Because if you look at cricket, I think the facilities are not much, but it's better organized. So we have a sports that doesn't have the bulk of the facilities, but they're more organized. And that's why you have, it makes all the difference to talk about it. And now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, the conversation continues looking at the world of football and the traction that comes with it. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back here to Sports Central. My name is Vladimir Kumutubedev. Funny Tina showed me for company. And now we're ready for football stories all around the world at attraction that comes with it. First in the world of football, we'll begin with the Nigeria Premier Football League. The season opener gets the start, and Remo Stars hosts Rivers United in the season opener today. Well, Tubedev mentioned it during the introductory part of this show. Well, somewhat somehow, we're here. Well, I'll start with you, because when you talk about Nigerian Premier Football League before now, it's always a case where they fix a date for a reopener of the season and it never happens.
Absolutely.
Afterward, they hear postponement. It seems like we're boggling up in the country. The Bengal Legbale Let Board are doing quite well. We've seen improvement in the starter, and today we're having the champions, the defending champions, take on Rivers United.
Well, I think it would be quite an exciting game with so many changes now for Remo Stars. A couple of those players have actually left. They've actually traveled out the shores of the country to play with other teams. They've brought in a few of them from outside the shores of the country as well, signing 2-year deal, just like we talked about yesterday. Massive improvement for them, and they're looking for stability. Not just the MPFL, they'll be playing on the continent, so they have to do better. And then for Fididi George, he's talked about, contending for the league title this particular season after falling out last time. So it definitely tells you the intensity of the first game will, of course, be a lot higher than what we've been seeing in recent times. So a lot more from both sides, and we're expecting, of course, fireworks as the first game of the new season. I'm just, of course, expecting to enjoy the game.
Many expectations, looking forward to enjoy the game. Meanwhile, Lorraine Township Stadium is to host Niger Tornadoes against Nasarawa United. And looking at the transfer talks that's taking place, so Vunda and 16 others have unveiled as Nasarawa United players. As you're looking at the Northern Super League, Koronko backs are seized on Toronto returns. Funny, I just have a bite on this one.
Well, I think for Esther Koronko, she's been quite very phenomenal for her side. That's one of the reasons why she has been scoring goals. Very important for that Toronto side. So definitely a player to look forward to. I just hope she can get a move to a big side. Recently, I was watching Michelle Aluzi in action, and
also scored a fantastic goal.
And let's win as well. Reminder of what we saw at the WAFCON. I was watching the match, and if a player said anything, you can hear it echo around the stadium because it's quite empty. I just wish these players can make a move to a big club size in England, in Europe, because that's why I'm so happy with Chiamaka Nadozie moving to Brighton. You see, there's going to be more eyes on her at Brighton. Yes, Paris might be a bigger team.
Comparatively to Paris, who were playing the Champions League.
Yeah, Paris is a big team, playing in the Champions League because of where they are playing in. In the French League, they don't really have opponents. But now in the English Premier League, Manchester United, come on, they have lots of fans at the stadium. They have lots of eyes, lots of
Well, in the French League, they got lots of fans in there.
They don't. I've been following their matches. I mean, very empty stadiums. In fact, some of the stadium looks like
in the French League.
Yeah. French Female League.
Even the men's game, some teams do not really have followers as much as you can.
But beyond that, I'm trying to look at players because I
think it's just about visibility.
Maybe she gets to do well. And
I'm saying when she gets to face the likes of Manchester, she would definitely face Manchester United, face Chelsea, face those top teams, Arsenal, this season.
Well,
that's what we expected.
Well, let's see how it goes for her and some of this last especially. But in the US, it's a big league, no matter how you talk about it, whether you have so many fans or not. In Canada, it's still something big, and she's doing quite well for herself. I mean, while the CHAN competition takes place today, it would be Kenya versus Madagascar, the next level of the quarterfinals of it.
Absolutely.
And talking about Tanzania versus Morocco, also taking center stage. Well, big games to look forward to. Just pick it for yourself. Kenya versus Madagascar and Tanzania versus Morocco. What are we expecting?
Well, I think Kenya-Madagascar would be quite an entertaining battle, owing to the fairy tale run Kenya have actually had this particular, tournament. One of the sides many didn't really see, of course, doing quite well and maybe going straight to the quarterfinals of the CHAN competition. So all hopes now on Kenya to do better than what we saw at the group stage. A clean slate for them and maybe advance to the semi-final. An end-to-end battle I'm expecting, but at the end, I think Kenya should get this one.
Well, David thinks Kenya gets this one. Wondering who gets the game between Morocco in that Tanzania. Morocco, the host, one of the hosts against Morocco. Quite a tight context it could be. Tanzania's been absolutely fantastic on this tournament, just like Kenya. And meanwhile, we'll move to Europe, the English Premier League, and probably I'll start with the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich against RB Leipzig is going to be a game that takes center stage today. But in the English Premier League, it will be West Ham taking on Chelsea Football Club. Mfanitina, discuss.
World champions against West Ham United. Let's look at. I think for Chelsea, I said it on the show that the fact that they won the Club World Cup would make them feel very comfortable heading into the season. That team is not ready. that team I saw is they still have a yard of work to do for themselves.
Why do you say so? Because they couldn't beat Crystal Palace.
Not just about not being able. The gameplay I saw against Crystal Palace, they see depending on one man. I compared it to the game against Manchester United against Arsenal. Bruno Fernandes was not seen in that game against Arsenal, but Manchester United played well. But look at Chelsea. Everything was still coming from the man Cole Palmer. And I think that's one area where Chelsea needed to improve.
Palmer wasn't really visible in the game.
That's why they didn't win. But that's what we're talking about.
Here's the other conversation everyone talk about it. Sadly, we're going to the Crystal Palace game. The last 10 games for Crystal Palace, they've played Liverpool, they've played Manchester City, they've played all the biggest teams you think of, and they've not lost. And now they've played Chelsea. Maybe we give lots of credit to Crystal Palace, and let's see what Chelsea gets to do in this one. And while Utuba David, Eder Militao, and Alaba are returning to Real Madrid ahead of new season, and just as Nottingham Forest confirmed a loan of Douglas Luiz from Juventus. Well, no easy, but Palace welcome new era on a bittersweet night. Just have a bite on this one now. Conference League against the Norwegian side, and we saw Crystal Palace just 1-0. It was for them. And the second leg gets to happen, I think, August 28th, thereabout. A big concern, but on the other hand, a good victory for them. Playing without Eze, the fans all having a placard thanking Eze for what he's done for them.
Well, I think it was quite an emotional night for them because their debut season on European competition, particularly, and of course also playing for the first time in a long while without Eberechi Eze. They were still able to get that 1-0 victory. Oliver Glasner already confirming the placement at the moment. But just a few days before the end of the transfer window, they can still get something or somebody to replace Eberechi Eze. But looking at Crystal Palace, it looks like those who do well, of course, maintain stability without the services of the Englishman.
Without the services of the Englishman. Anyway, we hear that Gay's future at Palace, it's uncertain. I met Glasner talks, and we're talking about Spurs turning to Nkunku after Eze snub. And similarly, Manchester United have turned down inquiries for me. Harry Maguire has said, unfortunately, let's close with this one. Harry Maguire says, well, Manchester United not interested in selling me indirectly. And no inquiries from me, they say no.
Well, I think for Harry Maguire, it's certain he's going to be a legend at that club. Going to retire a legend. Yeah, definitely. I just think he needs to add a few more trophies.
I was looking at it the way he was looking at you when he said
there's no way you want to talk about Harry Maguire's time at Manchester United. From the highs to the lows, back to the highs. Come on, not many footballers can boast of such.
What is the highs? It's so hard to mention it. Whichever David. Well, thank you for being part of it. If Harry Maguire is a legend at Manchester United, don't worry. Whichever David is a legend.
I am legendary.
Whichever David is legendary. He's a good footballer. Taking nothing away from Harry Maguire. Unfortunately, has a way of making this thing looks very interesting. We have to bounce here. Thank you for being a part of it. Tomorrow is another day. My name is Blyden Kim, and we say ciao ciao.